She was just 6 years old, bright, beautiful, and already a pageant star. On Christmas night, 1996, her family went to sleep in their upscale Boulder, Colorado home. By morning, JonBenét Ramsey was gone. 8 hours later, her lifeless body was discovered inside the very house she disappeared from. In the basement, hidden behind a locked door. There were signs of a struggle, a ransom note, and too many questions. The case became one of the most sensational murder mysteries in American history. A little girl killed in her own home with her parents upstairs the whole time. Police swarmed the scene. The media went wild. Suspicions turned inward. Nearly 3 decades later, no one has ever been convicted. And the more you learn, the stranger it gets. What really happened to JonBenét Ramsey? JonBenét Patricia Ramsey was born in 1990 in Atlanta, Georgia, but her family later moved to Boulder, Colorado. Her father, John Ramsey, was a wealthy businessman. Her mother, Patsy, a former beauty queen herself, was heavily involved in JonBenét's pageant career. By the age of 6, JonBenét was already a rising star in the pageant circuit, known for her blonde curls, big smile, and elaborate costumes. To the outside world, the Ramseys had it all: money, status, and the picture-perfect family. On December 25, 1996, the family celebrated Christmas together. Friends described the evening as normal and festive. That night, they went to sleep around 10 p.m. But on the morning of December 26th, Patsy Ramsey woke up early and found a ransom note at the bottom of the stairs. It claimed JonBenét had been kidnapped and demanded $118,000, an oddly specific amount, nearly identical to John's recent work bonus. Patsy called 911 immediately. The police arrived minutes later, but for hours, no one thought to search the entire house. Then, just after 1 p.m., John Ramsey went downstairs and found JonBenét's body in the basement, wrapped in a blanket, with duct tape over her mouth and a garrote around her neck. The garrote is a historical device originally used in 19th century Spain. It was often made with wire or cord and had various forms over time. While its exact function varied, it became known as a method used in covert operations or during periods of conflict. Today, it's mainly referenced in historical or forensic contexts. The scene was horrific. JonBenét had been strangled and suffered a blow to the head. There were signs of a struggle and possible indications of sexual assault, though this was never officially confirmed. The ransom note itself was bizarre. 3 pages long, handwritten on paper from the Ramsey home. It referenced movies like Dirty Harry and Speed, and was written in a tone more like a screenplay than a real threat. For many, it seemed staged. Investigators were immediately divided. Some believed the Ramseys were involved, either directly or through a cover-up. Others pointed to the possibility of an intruder. But the crime scene had been compromised. Friends and family had been allowed to roam the house before the body was found. Key evidence was contaminated. The Ramseys were not immediately treated as suspects, but their behavior raised eyebrows. They lawyered up quickly and declined police interviews for months. Patsy especially became a target of public scrutiny. Her pageant persona and emotional TV appearances sparked intense speculation. There was also JonBenét's older brother, Burke, who was 9 at the time. Some theorists pointed fingers at him, suggesting a sibling fight gone wrong, with the parents covering it up. But there was never enough evidence to support that theory. Years passed, and DNA testing became more advanced. In 2008, touch DNA on JonBenét's clothing pointed to an unidentified male, not anyone in the Ramsey family. The Boulder District Attorney officially cleared the Ramseys of involvement. Still, the case remained open. A drifter named Gary Oliva once confessed, but his story didn't add up. Another suspect, John Mark Carr, made headlines in 2006 by claiming he was with JonBenét when she died. But his DNA didn't match, and he was never charged. To this day, no one knows for sure who killed JonBenét Ramsey. The public reaction was unlike anything seen before in a case involving a child. The image of JonBenét in pageant makeup and gowns made nightly news across America. Critics accused the media of turning a murder case into tabloid entertainment. Others argued the coverage kept pressure on authorities. TV anchors, talk show hosts, and even comedians discussed the case regularly. Conspiracy theories spread. Some people became obsessed. There were entire online forums dedicated solely to analyzing the ransom note or the family's body language in interviews. The FBI was called in early on, but jurisdictional conflicts slowed the investigation. The Boulder Police Department had never handled a murder case this complex or high-profile, and mistakes were made. Evidence wasn't properly preserved. Key witnesses weren't interviewed early enough, and leads went cold before they were followed up. The garrote used to strangle JonBenét was crafted from one of Patsy's paintbrushes. It was carefully tied, suggesting premeditation and some knowledge of knots. But if it was a kidnapping, why leave the body behind? The note's language seemed odd. Addressed to Mr. Ramsey, it asked for $118,000, the exact amount of his recent bonus, down to the dollar. How would a random intruder know that? Some experts believe the note was written to mislead, a staged attempt to suggest an outside threat. But if that's true, who would go to such elaborate lengths? Others focus on the window in the basement, where a broken latch and a suitcase below hinted at a possible point of entry. Yet no footprints, no signs of forced entry, and no DNA trail were ever found. Investigators later revealed they had over 100 possible suspects, ranging from neighbors to drifters to pageant photographers. But no arrest was ever made. Some suspects were ruled out by DNA. Others simply vanished from the radar. Even the handwriting in the ransom note was analyzed by multiple experts. Some said it matched Patsy, others disagreed. But the results were never conclusive. In recent years, internet sleuths and amateur detectives have taken over. Dozens of documentaries, podcasts, and YouTube videos have re-examined every angle. But for all the noise, the answers remain elusive. Some still believe it was a family member. Others insist the Ramseys were victims of a cruel and calculated intruder. And then there are those who think the truth lies somewhere in between. JonBenét Ramsey should have been a teenager going to prom, a college student figuring out her future. Instead, she became a symbol of lost innocence, of media obsession, and of a justice system that failed to deliver answers. Her murder shocked America and captivated the world. But for all the headlines, all the theories, and all the forensic advancements, no one has ever stood trial for her death. The house in Boulder still stands. The ransom note remains a haunting mystery, and the little girl in the pageant dress is frozen in time. So the question still echoes, decades later. Who killed JonBenét Ramsey?